Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? It's Kenny Lamons here. Welcome back to Medicare Millennials, the channel where we just chronicle our journey to building a large, successful, renewal-driven Medicare business. We like to share pro tips, strategies, insights, and just kind of share our journey with you guys out there because the opportunity is great. So today's video, I wanted to address something I get asked or at least see online very frequently, which is how many carriers do I need as an independent insurance agent? And what I am actually going to do is break down that for all the main senior market sales that I've focused on, which is final expense, Medicare supplement, as well as Medicare Advantage. So I'll give you my personal opinion and my experience on how many carriers do you need to represent as an independent insurance agent. So first of all, I'm going to start off with a story. I recently had a downline agent request some contracts. He had worked maybe a total of 3 months intermittently at some agencies that he didn't have a lot of success at, for whatever one reason or another, and maybe didn't get the kind of support hopefully I can help give him. So nonetheless, he requested a list of final expense carriers this long. Carriers that I don't even have a contract with. Now, where he got the idea that he needed all those, well, it gets put out there by a lot of IMOs. But it just blew my mind, and it reminded me that I needed to do a video on this. Because at the end of the day, any big final expense producer out there, well, the vast majority of them, put most of their business with 1, 2, maybe 3 carriers. And over the course of time, sure, they might pick up a contract here and there for some niche cases, but it's an afterthought. They know their 1, 2, or 3 carriers. They know them well. They've planned ahead where the vast majority of their clients can get approved with them. So that's really just wanted to give a little background on why I'm doing this video. I think if you are a new insurance agent, getting too many carriers is going to do nothing but overwhelm you. And I think that quite often new agents think to themselves, well, I'm not the greatest on the phones. I don't have the money to buy as many leads as I would like just yet. So if I have every single carrier in the world, then I'll never not be able to cover a prospect. And I understand that in theory, but in practice, you're bogging yourself down with learning too many underwriting guidelines, dealing with the headache of going through waiting around and dealing with multiple contracting processes, and giving your customers too many options. Look, you're the expert. Consult with your mentor, your trainer, somebody that you're trying to emulate. Develop a plan for which core carriers you're going to start with, and then expand in the future from there. So for final expense agents, I recommend 2 to 3 carriers max, plus get 1 guaranteed issue carrier. So I personally use AIG, but there's a lot of other companies out there. People use Great Western. There's a GTL product out there. There's Gerber. It doesn't matter. Just AIG is what I was introduced to. They have competitive rates. They have a big name. They have an easy application process. So I just need that 1 carrier. I don't write a lot of guaranteed issue business to begin with. I try to avoid it. And then the other 3 carriers, you're going to have 1 really core carrier. So for me, it used to be Transamerica. For years, my core carrier was Transamerica. Obviously, we all know what happened there. They're no longer in the picture as far as I'm concerned. So the vast majority of my business goes through Mutual of Omaha, Prosperity, and Royal Neighbors. And that covers almost all bases for me. You don't have to use those particular carriers. If you want to know why I use them, drop a comment or email me. My contact information is below. I'll be happy to explain it, but narrow it down to 3 carriers. So what if you're a Medicare supplement agent? Now here you still want 2 to 3 core carriers, okay? So if you just go put in the zip codes in a rate finder for the area you work, it'll be clear to you who's always competitive. So in my area, Philadelphia American, Mutual of Omaha, Aetna, and Shenandoah are probably the 4 you consistently see that have really good rates for Medicare supplements in my area. And I've just learned over the course of time, I want someone that's got a household discount regardless if the spouse is applying. I prefer no application fee when possible, and I need some differential underwriting guidelines. So one company that's a little more lenient on diabetes, one that's a little bit more lenient on height and weight. And you, again, the only way to know this is to get with somebody that's experienced, and that should be your upline, somebody in your organization that can guide you to that. So 3 or 4 core carriers. You're gonna pick up MedSup carriers more often than you'll need to pick up new final expense carriers, because there are companies that offer niche underwriting abilities so that you could get niche cases approved. But don't worry about that. Learn your core carriers, and then when you can't get someone approved, then you're at that point you can expand and learn what and you can do a just-in-time contracting for another carrier and take a paper and e-application. Don't overwhelm yourself with MedSups. You will need more over time. But if you lose one case, I promise you the headache of having 15 carriers that you're presenting every time it's not worth it when you're new in the business. Just focus on the core carriers and add them as you go. And then Medicare Advantage, this one, of course, right now, if y'all know anything about Ethan and I, our agency, as far as for consumer side, is called Patriot Retirement Group. And for years, we focused more on MedSups and final expense. And now, if you watch any of our other content, you know that we are very, very much focused on Medicare Advantage. We love the opportunity there and doing what I think are really good things in that market. So I can only speak to my limited time in Medicare Advantage, as well as to my market, which is the Dallas-Fort Worth and surrounding areas. And this is going to vary greatly, but here's what I will say. The Dallas-Fort Worth market for Medicare Advantage, for an example, is a large metropolitan area. We have more carriers than you can count that are trying to offer. A lot of them don't even have star ratings yet because everybody's just flooding the market with these Medicare Advantage plans. On top of that, each carrier typically has 4, 5, 6 plans on the market. Are you kidding me? How am I supposed to be the expert and simplify things for my client if I am considering every single plan side by side? Here's the truth, guys. If you have anybody to look up to or reach out to, you're going to know before you start sitting in appointments who are the prime carriers that have the biggest network, have the strongest benefit packages, have a lot of popularity in your area that cover most of your bases, and the vast majority of your business will go through those carriers. I'm not going to name them. I have 3. 95% of my business goes through those carriers. I have 1 niche carrier I've only written 2 cases with all year. And then I have 2 other carriers that Medicare Advantage carriers, I'm only contracted with because they offer AOR, and I run into them every now and then. That's it. So the vast majority of my business goes through 3 carriers. Now, I know there's agents out there that will argue, well, Kenny, you're not always doing the best thing by your client. Number one, if there's ever a situation where the very best carriers don't make sense for a client, then I'll walk. I'm going to do the right thing by my client while making my business efficient, simple, and straightforward. So I know everyone thinks you have to capture every single person you ever run across. Excuse me, but that's not the case. So in a nutshell, guys, my recommendation to y'all out there is if you're talking to an IMO, you're new to this business, and they won't give you a list of carriers this long, that's a bit of a red flag to me. I mean, really, they just want the contracts at the end of the day. I want to work with somebody that wants me to focus in on what's most important and find early success. So my recommendation to you guys is to really do your research, narrow down to core carriers in any given product category, and keep your life super simple. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, Medicare Millennials. If y'all have any questions, you can comment. If it's a really detailed question, I recommend and encourage you to email me, which is in the description below. I'll put out another video soon. See you guys.